Let's look at the effects of climate change on glaciers. There's three videos, I think, in the weekly module um, having to do with this. One on diminishing Arctic ice, and one on how glaciers calf off and form icebergs, and then another one on the disappearing Alaskan glaciers. So make sure you check those out. Okay, so because of the atmosphere's warming up, glacier ice in the polar and mountain regions are shrinking all across the globe. And this is a good example. Here we are in 1938, and then you go over here to 1998, 60 years later, and then just another 10 years later, you can see how much further down it's diminished. So it took a while to get almost 60 years to go from here to here, but this was much quicker. And again, this is occurring all over the surface of the Earth. Now you have two polar environments, the Arctic and the Antarctic. For the Arctic, it's where an isotherm, a line that connects points of equal temperature, and they connect at minus 10 degrees Celsius. And that's the visible tree line, and it's usually floating sea ice and glacier ice. Antarctica, much greater area. It's a huge area, greater than North America, Western Europe, and Greenland combined, but it's a landmass surrounded by ocean. And so again, as the water warms up, it tends to affect the ice sheets that cover Antarctica, the continent. Here's the minus 10 isotherm, or the 10 degree isotherm, I'm sorry, right through there. And that designates the Arctic region where we get pack ice. And here's the Antarctic one down here. So here's the continent itself, and then the isotherm that connects it. So half the Arctic ice pack by volume has disappeared since 1970, and now you actually have a true Northwest Passage, where before it was covered by ice. And so now you actually have tourist, ships, cruise ships that are able to navigate the Northwest Passage and take tourists up there. And in Antarctica, we have large sections that are breaking free. And you can go to Google or anything and just Google breaking ice in Antarctica and see the dramatic effects of this that are happening right now. So here's Greenland, and this is where they presume you're going to get melt, and it's already happening because again of the change in temperature. And so you melt the ice, the ice turns to water and flows into oceans, and then that will increase the volume of ocean water, contribute to sea level rise. But remember, water stores massive amounts of heat energy, so just the more water, the more the oceans have the ability to hold heat. And you can see how the ice sheets are starting to break up in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. And so here's the ice sheets, and then again you can see these melt ponds again, and when you melt the water again, the water will store heat and it will just keep melting the surrounding ice until all this is gone. And it's another way to look at it. And so eventually these ice sheets will eventually just all disappear. And you can see the ice shelves here start to crack and break up down here, and again these will break off and destroy habitats, and again put more ice out into the ocean. This is kind of, I think this will share, I hope it does. But they actually race bikes on the glaciers, which is actually kind of funny. So they run down and they're going to hop on their bikes, and then they ride the bikes down the glacier in a race. It's actually kind of interesting. And then what was the other one? Oh, glacial surfing. Well, you can Google that too and watch that. But it's, again, as the cabs break off and hit the water, they create these giant waves, and people surf those. So it's kind of interesting. You know what? I'll post those up on the weekly module because they're fun to look at.